Hey everybody, it's Juan and Pete here with Neighborhood Loans. Super excited for another session of learning at the neighborhood. Today we're talking about renovation financing. We hear from a lot of agents that inventory is tight, that they're having a hard time, finding great deals for their clients, that, a lot of competition, multiple offers. And we want to talk about a different way to find properties that you can get your clients under contract and hopefully, write some contracts, close some deals, and cash some commission checks. So, Pete, welcome to the call.
Thank you. Yeah, and couple keys there. Obviously, we're hearing a lot about low inventory at this time, and one of the most important point you mentioned is cash some checks. Right? We need to. This is going to be a great way to help you cash some more checks, both on the buyer side. And a lot of folks don't know on the seller side. We're on the listing side, I should say. I'm gonna give you a couple tricks and hints and helpful stuff to help you on that side as well.
Awesome.
So really, if you haven't done any renovation lending, there's no better time to start than now. There's lots of benefits, both for you and your clients. Let's talk about you as an agent, right? Who out there loves driving, around the entire weekend or multiple weekends, showing folks just tons and tons and tons of homes, and you just hear like, this property is great, but and that dreaded but, like it's the kitchen, it's the bath, it's the flooring, whatever it is, it's the roof, mechanicals. Well, we can solve all those problems. Then the other cool thing is, I was just having a great discussion with an agent this morning, and I said, well, how would you like to be able to have your buyers put in offers on any property in any condition? She's like, what? She's like, that's unbelievable. That's great. Where there's folks out there that, there's sellers that don't want to necessarily sell to investors. They'd rather sell to a home buyer and get more money. So this is a way that your buyer can bid on foreclosures, estate sales, auction, deals that say cash only, needs work, as is, all those other buzzwords that scream investor only. Here's one for your client: gain instant equity. This is the only program out there that you're going to put someone into a home, and when they finish that renovation, they're going to have built-in equity. If you're selling them, and there's nothing wrong with this, folks, selling somebody a home that's already fixed up and it's sold at market value. They got the house they wanted, that's fine. But this is a great way for a client to create the home of their dreams here and gain some instant equity. So go ahead, Juan. So, first, like, what is a renovation loan? If you've never done one, what types are there? There's basically, well, first, a renovation loan is a loan that incorporates the purchase and the renovation all into one loan. Lots of misinformation out there that you purchase the home and then you have a separate renovation loan. That's not the case. It's a standard 30-year fixed loan that incorporates the purchase plus the renovation, any renovations they want to do. There are two main types of renovation loans. One is the FHA 203K, and the other one is the Fannie Mae home style. That's the conventional one. They both operate pretty similarly. There are a couple differences which we'll talk about as we go. If there's any questions, please put them in the chat here. Juan will monitor and we'll answer those as we go. So you can pretty much do anything that a buyer can think up, dream up with this program. You can put a complete faceless of you see on this slide here. Just completely do the entire home from exterior and interior. It's important to know it's not limited to just interior work. You can completely redo the exterior, even the footprint of the house. So you can rip the roof off, and we'll show a pretty neat example later on down. So here, if you don't take a lot away from this presentation, here's one that I want you to write down and pretty much etch this one in stone. And don't forget this, because this is super important. Qualifying for a renovation loan is exactly the same as qualifying for a regular loan. So here, let me rephrase that. If you qualify for an FHA regular loan, you qualify for an FHA renovation loan, same as conventional, which is super, super important. There's again, more misinformation out there that qualifying for a renovation loan is so much harder. That is not true. We have tons of experience here. Juan and myself and our team, we have tons of experience on renovation lending. We will tell you and promise you that that is not true. Down payments are the same in renovation lending and non-renovation lending. So as we see here, as little as 3.5% down with FHA, which is the standard regular down payment on FHA. 5%. We can even go as low as 3% on a Fannie Mae home style product. So second home 10%, and single family investor, we can do that limited program with 15% down.
So Pete, we do have a question from the audience. Can you do multi-unit buildings with renovation loans, and what is the down payment requirement?
Yeah, you can. That's a great question. Whoever asked it, I'm thinking exactly what you're thinking. I love multifamily, and when you combine it with renovation, there's probably no more powerful product out there on the market today. So the only one we can't do is for an investor, right? We can't do a 2, 3, or 4 unit for an investor, but that's okay. We can do for that home buyer, the person that's going to live in one unit, and it's commonly called house hacking here, which this is brilliant. So you can get up to a 4 unit on both an FHA and a conventional renovation loan, and still put that minimum down payment. So think about it, 3.5%. If you bought a $700,000 FHA multifamily, or over $1 million in the conventional world, this is by far the most fantastic program. You can renovate all those units and get top market rent, and imagine cash flowing that unit, and you could potentially live for rent free or mortgage free on your end, with those other 3 units paying that entire mortgage. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, so I pulled out my calculator real quick, and for that $700,000 multi-unit, Pete, 3.5% down, you could own that property for less than $25,000 down. And the great part, in the Chicagoland market, what's the typical appreciation that we're seeing in the Chicagoland market?
Yeah, we have. I think I sent this out to our entire database a couple months back. It was pretty eye-popping that since 1943 to 2023, there's only been 5 down years, and 2 of them were 0 or 1%, and the other 3 were during that bubble crash. Every other year has averaged about 5% in 5%. Appreciation, which is amazing.
So you buy a property, you put $25,000 down, and it's going up in value by $35,000 per year. And that's not even taking into account the equity that you created by fixing it up. That's super exciting.
100%. You will for sure gain instant equity by doing this product. And here's some examples. Just turning some dated stuff into more modern stuff. Kitchen, an example of a kitchen, an example of a bath, and the one to the far right, I guess I just want to comment that they really weren't updating much except some windows, it looks like to me, the flooring, so they want some hardwood flooring and some trim, and paint. So we can do as little or as much as needed or wanted. So that's important to know. So types of repairs that are allowed with renovation lending. I guess I'll start with pretty much anything and everything your client can think of, right? We talked a couple minutes ago about additions. So you can do structural alterations or additions. I mean, we've had people do some pretty wild stuff. I think Juan, our group had a client just last year. Yeah, I think it was last year. Dig down into a basement, right? They actually, so the underpinning, they wasn't enough height. They actually dug down in the basement to make that usable space. I have an example I'll show you of a roof tear off. You can go up, you can go out, depending what municipality or geographically where you're located. We're doing about 43 different states now. I think we just added Hawaii, so we might be up to 44 states. So we're whatever is typical or allowed in the area, we can build out or build up. You can add a garage if there wasn't a garage on the property. You can do energy conservation stuff. You can do, so we already talked about interior painting, plumbing, heating, air, roofing. You could do as simple as if you need roofing and heating and air, flooring, trim, tile, carpet, even exterior. Like we said, I think we'll have some slides of showing some landscaping changes. You can also do, and this is the only one that kind of differs from FHA and conventional. Conventional will allow you to install a brand new pool, right? If you've never had a pool. FHA will allow you to fix an existing pool and systems. Okay. So that's really the only difference in the process flow from FHA to conventional. Okay.
So, Pete, we have another question coming in, and the question is, what about related living or the ADUs, as we call them in the industry? How does FHA or conventional handle that?
Yep. I think we might have a slide later on it, but we'll just while they ask that's fine. We'll address it now. ADUs, if you're not familiar with it's a pretty hot topic, accessory dwelling unit, and there's lots of reasons for potentially considering that. So you can, with this product, you can add this separate either related living or non-related living, right? Now they're treated a little different. FHA has some different rules on it has to be sort of connected to the property. So you can use some basement space for additional dwelling. You can attach to the house, whereas conventional, you can actually build an entire new modular structure as an accessory dwelling unit. And so great way to use this product and have some family, maybe that the elderly family that needs to live with you or whatever the situation is. So lots of opportunity there. So one of the things that I wanted to discuss here, which I talked briefly about, is your client's able to bid, or put an offer in on any property in any condition. That's where you want, a team member from Neighborhood Loans on our team to dual pre-approve a client, right? So when we say your client is dual pre-approved, we mean that they're pre-approved for a property that's potentially move-in ready, and then a property that might need renovation. So in reality, what we're doing is we're pre-approving them for this total dollar amount. So I'll give you a quick example. If your client is shopping for a $300,000 home and they find one for $300,000, that's fine. That's a regular pre-approval. Or they find something that's $200,000 and needs $100,000 of improvements, that's fine as well with us. So that's the example of the dual pre-approval. Everything else works the same as a regular loan would go. In viewing homes, making offers, get an accepted offer, and get the contract over to us, and then we'll start the process from there. So this is one that our team hadn't done, but there's what do you call those one? Historical districts where landmark, they have to maintain exterior. They might be on that national registry, and you can't really change the exterior. So you can use this loan. You could see the exterior was kind of beat up here, and they did a beautiful job of bringing it back to its original condition. So you can use, this to restore, historical properties. So we're going to talk a little bit about the process of the renovation loan, where it differs a little bit from a regular loan. Once you're under contract on a regular FHA or conventional loan, you don't need to talk about scope of work and appraisal. Where it differs in the appraisal process. So what we want to do up front, as soon as somebody's under contract, we want to determine the scope of work that's needed, and what it entails. So there is what's called a limited product, which doesn't require the use of a HUD consultant, which we'll talk a little bit more in depth about. So if it's $35,000 or less in total, we would just need a contractor's bid that's broken down between labor and material. That contractor will have to be vetted. They do have to be a regular, real contractor where they have liability insurance. And if the municipality requires licensing, they will have to have that. So we have a whole department internally that will vet that contractor. If you folks as agents have great contractors that are financially stable that can handle this, then you definitely want to recommend that contractor to your client. If they need a HUD consultant, we do have a great process. We have teamed up with a company called Makeover in Makeover Homes, and they will handle the consulting, the initial inspection, and they can also recommend contractors that are fully vetted, because that is one of the biggest problems, or one of the biggest problems is the contractor isn't familiar with this type of loan, and they're just uneasy with the process. They're not familiar with the paperwork. So we do have a great process to help your borrower along. Let's talk a little bit about the appraisal. The way we're able to do these renovation loans is because we are using an after repaired value. So after repaired value, subject to all the work, right? So the appraiser will take into account all the renovations that are being done to determine that end value. And that's how we build in that instant equity. Okay. Any other questions out there on?
No, we're good so far.
Okay, great. So here's one that we can look at that just needed some exterior, TLC, right? It was pretty barren there, and they did a nice job of filling in that landscaping. I did want to go back and mention one thing about appraisal, and here's the second point that you should write down. Okay, we are doing this appraisal as after repaired value or subject to. Okay. We are not doing an as-is appraisal. So here's the coolest part about this, and you can write this down so you can remember: no as-is appraisal. So you will never fail that appraisal piece. If your client wants to bid above the asking price, this is pretty neat. No worries, as long as what work they're going to do to that property gets that additional value. There will be no concern about that as-is appraisal. And also remember, they're buying this property as is. We're not asking, or I should say you as the agent are never going to ask that other side to do any repairs. So that's how valuable this offer is on a renovation pre-approval. You're going in like your as is good as a cash offer. You never, ever ask them to perform repairs. So something else to write down. Those are a couple other key takeaways.
So
go ahead.
Pete, we do have a question, and they're asking, so can my client overbid on a house and not have to take that money out of pocket?
Yeah, and that and that's where whoever asked that is they get the gold star of the day so far. That's where this is such a valuable product. So think about this. Let's say the home is listed for 200, right? We know they're going to do a significant renovation, right? They're going to put 100,000 into it. This home's going to be worth 370. Okay. They can easily overbid $20,000. They will not have to come to the table with that additional 20,000 because we're not doing that as is appraisal. As long as that after repaired appraisal comes in, we're still just putting that 3.5% down. So that was a great question. We can overbid on it and not have to come dollar for dollar to the closing. Okay, great question, again. Contractor, like I said, there are some requirements on this. There's FHA 203K. We do have the pre-vetted contractors through our Makeover Homes partnership that we promise that they will deliver. If the buyer chooses their own contractor, we recommend that they come highly referred either by yourself as an agent or family, friends, somebody they know, like, and trust. Okay. And they should be financially stable. They will have to, I think we already talked about this, provide a copy of their license if the municipality requires license. If there's no licensing, there's no the requirement, then there's no license to provide. Absolute must, they must have liability insurance. They must provide 3 references of similar type jobs, right? If they're doing a roof tear off, and doing a couple $100,000 job, I mean, we certainly don't want someone that only did, $10,000 or $15,000 jobs. That probably will be a disaster. Okay. We do need them to provide a detailed bid that's itemized by labor and material. Again, we do have a team internally that will help them through this, but we do have a great process that we can walk a buyer through and will make them feel comfortable and get them to the finish line. Go ahead, Juan. Okay, so HUD Consultant, and I think this one had been updated. I just want to mention a couple things regarding the consultant, and first, there are a couple roles, and there is a fee that has been set by HUD. So the HUD consultant will perform 2 separate processes. Up front, they will come out and meet the client, and they will create a scope of work. For FHA, I know a lot of you agents always want to know, well, if something is going FHA, what are those required repairs? The good news is that this HUD consultant will detail out what those FHA minimum property standard repairs are. Okay. And they will list those out in Word format, right? They're not going to do the bid. We need the contractor to do the bid, but they will review the bid. So they will go through that at a bare minimum. They will also ask the client, what other desired repairs or renovations do you want? And then they'll add that to the scope of work. So they'll create that detailed scope of work so that a contractor can intelligently bid on that. So the second piece of the HUD consultant's role is once the loan is closed, that same person will be the person to come out and determine what percentage of the project has been completed to date. So call out to the consultant, and they will come out and fill out the form, and they'll determine that 20% of the work has been done so that the contractor can get paid out. Go ahead, Juan. So here's a couple more before and afters. Like I always like to point out the kitchen here, is functional. I'm sure everything is in working order there, but it was a little bit dated, and this client here wanted to move some things around. You could see they moved the refrigerator over to the other wall, and then color schemes, material schemes, and stuff like that. And And here we love the pink bathroom. I think the old Brady Bunch days here are back, and who knows, that might be coming back, retro stuff. But they obviously had a dated bath, and they made it into a modern bath. We already talked about this, that the consultant will meet the client and go through the scope of work, and then they'll also be the person that not really inspects the work that's been done, just validate that work has been done, and do the draw process. Oh, so here we are on one of my pride and joys right here, folks. If you could see on the screen here, this slide. I'm sure your client, if you ask them, would you want to buy the 1-story ranch home or the 2-story home here that you see, which one would your client prefer? I'm sure 100% of your clients would say, well, give me that 2-story. That one looks great. Well, guys, it's the same house. So if you look at the fencing on the right-hand side, of the one home, it's the same home. This was my client's project. So I financed this one here. They tore the roof off. They needed more space. They obviously redid the whole front, with some stone and brick. But you could see I think the sidewalk walking up to it, that same footprint is still there. Okay. But same exact home. So this is as wild of repairs or additions or renovations the client can dream up. We can turn it into something like this. Any other questions out there so far, Juan?
So we did have a question on this one, is how much equity did the homeowner create on this property?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I think this one was a little while back. I think they gained an instant $75,000 on this particular project.
Awesome. And that was a few years back, so imagine how much that's appreciated. You have a higher price property appreciating at 5%. You're making money.
Exactly. Yep. So we don't need to go through the definitions. Everything is still the same as a regular loan. Here's another one that I actually taught I did a renovation class for a group of agents, and I asked them the question, because this is the same kitchen once renovated here. But I asked the question, said, hey, if you had a client that was interested in this home, that had the kitchen looks like it had a bunch of wild animals run through it and rip off some cabinet doors and left it, ran out of there in a hurry. And I said, if you had your client really wanted this home, what kind of offer are you going to put in? And a couple of them raised their hands. I said, well, what would you put in? And they said, a cash offer. And I said, that's not the answer here. How about an FHA 203K offer, a home style renovation offer? It's about talking to the listing agent. Said, my pre-approval. So our team's pre-approval here at Neighborhood Loans is as good as a cash offer, because we're not going to ask the seller to repair anything. We will take that kitchen as you see it here. We will fix it up as you see it next to it. Not a problem. So this is a matter of communicating properly to the listing side. That's how we win. That's how we win offers. And we're here to talk to those listing agents, because some of them may have not had any experience with the program, or they had a terrible experience with the program. Either way, we need to address that. We're here to help. So the renovation loan process is really pretty similar to a regular loan process, but just a couple differences, right? We talked about the pre-approval process. Let's get everyone dual pre-approved so they can put in an offer on any home in any condition. Get them out, folks. Take them out shopping for a home. and you can actually take them out to less homes because of this pre-approval we have. Talked about we need to get a contractor bid, and we potentially need to get a HUD consultant involved depending on the scope of the project. Okay. Once we have that right away, we'll actually do the application even before having the full contractor bid or the full scope of work. We will put in an approximate number so we keep stuff moving along. Okay. We will send out the application with the fees that are involved in the renovation loan. Get them approved. We'll snap in the appraisal and title and then clear the conditions just like we would on any other loan. Oh, so here, I want to talk about a couple things that are, again, a little bit of misinformation out there. The seller is paid at the closing and purchase. Remember, we're not asking the seller to do anything. I get the question once in a while, and I think I'm getting it less as we're getting more information and education out there. I've had agents say, well, Pete, does this work have to be done before closing the deal? Well, no, absolutely not. I mean, you've seen a project I just showed you that was like $200,000 of work. How is that even possible, right? Closes as a normal deal. We establish that escrow fund for the renovation piece. We don't just deliver that money to the contractor or the borrower. That's where that HUD consultant comes into play. So that is set up. Construction begins. We do need to make sure that the renovation does start within 30 days of closing. We want to keep it on track. And then the draws will be dispersed per the consultant's report, right? If the consultant isn't needed, then it's a pretty simple formula. 50%, okay, at the closing, and then 50% upon completion. That's how that's done. So it's not just material cost in there; it's the total cost. So if it's $30,000, $15,000 at closing, $15,000 when completed. Exterior, again, you can use this loan to spruce up that outside. Like this one, same deck. I think they just kept the same footprint and just updated it with more modern material, and that decking, took out that lattice board and put some plantings. Here we go. Here's that accessory dwelling unit, which is depending where you folks are at geographically, this will be the next hottest thing out there because two things, right? One, low inventory and high prices, right? So here's how we're here to solve a problem. Now I just want to caveat it one thing. The municipality has to allow for the accessory dwelling unit. So as long as it's allowed where the property is located, we certainly can fund that for your client. And I think that I've hopefully covered some valuable information to help you with some buyers. I do want to talk about one thing that's not in the slides here. Juan, is the value on the listing side, right? And stuff that we as a team provide to an agent. So the cool thing is, and we'll go back to, we do not do an as-is appraisal. We all need to say that a few times. No as-is appraisal, no as-is appraisal, no as-is appraisal, right? So think about this. As a listing agent, right? You come across some listings that aren't, the perfect property, right? They might be dated. They could be an estate sale, foreclosure, whatever the case is, right? They could use lots of renovation. Well, the typical solution to that is let's just price this right, sell it to an investor, right? If it doesn't sell right away, and the first agent, yeah, Juan's like, sell it to us as an investor, we'll gladly take it. But let's say that seller doesn't want that price, doesn't want to keep coming down the price. They end up firing the initial agent, hiring the next agent that walks in. And you know what the next agent says, Juan? What is the next agent? I'm here to solve your problems. what is their, what is their solution? Why the place didn't sell? Maybe the price, right? The price is too high. So I'm the second agent coming in and go, I could sell your house. You just got to drop it another $10,000 or $20,000. So, but with our product, right, you can go in and say with confidence, say, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, I can, with great certainty, sell your home for more than any other agent. And they'll say, why? Well, because we're going to open up your home listing to all the buyers out there and not just investors. So hopefully that makes sense. We have some great marketing material that we can provide to show what somebody can do to the property. So we're here to help you get these listings and market them properly. Any other questions out there, Juan?
No, we're good on questions. But again, just a side commentary, and Pete, you did a great job. I encourage everybody listening to reach out to you, give you a call on your cell or email, cell phone 708-774-1654. Give Pete a call with all your renovation questions. Again, Pete's done more renovation loans than any other loan officer that I know, and he is genuinely an expert. I'll tell you that if this product were to be utilized effectively, it could put investors out of business, because investors are looking to buy properties for much less than what a retail or owner occupant client can pay. Fortunately, we still have a lot of work to do, Pete, to get the message out. So I can still buy, fix, and sell homes, make some money there. But renovation loans are fantastic way for the clients to untap hidden equity and really set themselves up to create wealth through real estate. Thank you for taking the time to do this recording. Anybody who's got questions, reach out to Pete. Fantastic resource.
Thank you.